Welcome back to Grounded Tech. I am, of course, today talking about the Nothing Phone 1. I was fortunate enough to be invited down to the launch event in London by Snapdragon UK for what was a phone that I was a little bit skeptical about initially. And I'm pretty sure some of you are too. How do I feel after some hands-on time? We'll get to that. But first, I just want to go through the hardware and what you can expect to get for your cash. So let's talk about it. It's worth noting straight away that the Nothing Phone 1 is not a high-end phone. It is a mid-ranger. It starts here in the UK at £399, and that is an area of very tough competition. And we've got the Pixel 6a, which is launching very soon here as well. So what is it that sets this phone apart from the others? I'd say it's pretty clear which part people notice first. We've got the transparent back on the phone and the glyph interface. I think it looks really cool, really classy. I know a lot of people think it's quite gimmicky, but it's definitely different. I definitely have a preference for the white. It looks very clean. And it's definitely different to everything else out there at the moment. The glyph interface is what will get most people's attention. There's LEDs on the back of the phone that light up when calls and notifications are received. And it reacts differently to different ringtones, and even when you set custom ringtones. People are definitely going to notice you using this phone. So moving on to the rear cameras, and Nothing took an approach with this that I am actually really pleased with. I think a lot of people are as well, in that they've gone for two camera sensors that are just really decent. Instead of having multiple lenses on the phone, like some other manufacturers, i.e. Samsung, where you'll get like a macro lens and an ultra wide, and these lenses aren't very good, but you'll tend to get a half decent main sensor. Nothing have gone for a very good main sensor and a pretty solid ultra wide as well. Both 50 megapixels, both take pretty good pictures from what I've seen. And also with my hands on, I did manage to take a couple of pictures. I couldn't hang on to them, but from what I saw, the pictures looked pretty good, and HDR was very nice as well. You do also have a bunch of features. You've got things like night mode, and you also have a pro mode in there, which I thought was pretty cool. So the general build is really nice. We've got a big 6.55 inch 1080p 120Hz OLED screen that's flat, it's beautiful, and it's pretty bright as well. So it goes up to 1200 nits at peak, and this is covered in Gorilla Glass 5 as well. So they used a flexible OLED for this screen so they could get the symmetrical bezels around the phone. Now, this is something that they did because they wanted the phone to look nice. They wanted it to look as nice as it could, and they took the decision to do this, knowing that it would cost them twice as much for the screen. And of course, you could have put that money into other things, but that's what they chose to do. And it looks nice. It looks great. I know a lot of people like the symmetrical bezel look. You don't get it on a lot of phones at that price range. But yeah, I think they did a good job. The funny thing is with the frame of the phone is that if you're looking at it side on, and this is something that I was talking about with somebody there at the event, is that you could easily mistake it for an iPhone. Which I know a lot of people will be like, oh, I don't really want people to think I've got an iPhone. But I don't think that's a bad thing. I think the iPhone side on looks fine. It's not a problem. It's when you see the back of the phone and the front, you're going to notice pretty quickly that it's not an iPhone. The build is very, very nice. It's not too heavy. Even though it's a big phone, there's not too much weight to it, but it's not too light either. It's actually a very nice balance. So I think a lot of people will like that as well. And then to finish off the screen as well, we've got a pretty snappy optical fingerprint reader. So not the ultrasonic that a lot of people were talking about before the event. I was surprised that it was going to be an ultrasonic to begin with, but turns out it's an optical, so that's fine. I mean, it's okay. I would have preferred, of course, I would have preferred the fingerprint reader in the power button, but this one seemed to work quite well. I didn't actually get to try it myself. Somebody that I know did. They found it okay. I saw other people using it, and it seemed pretty quick. It was definitely quicker than the Pixel 6 one that I had anyway. They have placed that fingerprint reader a little bit low down. I would have preferred it higher, but it's not a deal breaker. Nothing have put a big emphasis on this phone being one of the most environmentally friendly phones. So we've got 100% recycled aluminium in that frame and everywhere else in the phone. We've got recycled fiber packaging, and we've got over 50% of bio-based recycled plastics, which is pretty good. I like that approach. I don't like the fact that there's no charger in the box, But this sort of stuff I approve of, and I'd like to see more manufacturers sort of pushing that as well. So the internals are pretty solid. So we have the phone starting at 8 gigs of RAM with 128 gigs of storage. You've also got a 256 gig option as well. Then we also have 12 gig of RAM with a 256 gig option as well. It uses a Snapdragon 778G Plus as the SoC. This is a perfectly performant chipset. It's very good for gaming, and you will also get pretty good battery life out of it as well. So no problems there with the chipset whatsoever. And throw in then a 4500 mAh battery with 33 watt charging. You've also got 15 watt wireless charging and 5 watt reverse wireless charging. Now, there are things that you don't tend to find on other phones in that price range. I think that's quite a nice quality of life feature that they've included with that. Something that you will not get on the Pixel 6a. Onto the software. Now, this is where things are a little bit less impressive, but still pretty good. It's more of a bare bones system that they've gone for because obviously it's a startup, it's a new phone, new company. They're starting with the basics, but they're doing it right. So it's running pretty close to stock Android. You've got no extra apps for things that you don't need extra apps for, such as cameras and photos and all the things that Google normally provide. So no doubling of apps like you do find on things like Samsung's. It's a very fluid UI. You'll find it very similar to a Pixel or a Sony Xperia. The thing that I liked during the presentation was that Carl Pei was making reference to the fact that some manufacturers tend to put very heavy skins on their software, and we all know that's Samsung, and that tends to bog down the experience, and you tend to get a lot more issues than you would normally get. And that's why I've also recently found issues with mid-range Samsung phones, because One UI seems to be quite choppy in places. So I'm really happy that they've taken this route. I think it's important. So they have a very basic template to build upon, and it's going to be interesting seeing how they go forward and build features, because they need to try and do something a little bit different and provide things for people that are actually useful that other competitors aren't doing. So that's going to be very interesting to see how that plays out. Overall, though, I have to say that I was impressed. You know, the Nothing Phone 1, it's genuinely offering something different to the competition, and in a market where all phones are almost trying to be the same for the most part, it's refreshing to have a new manufacturer and one that is trying to do something quite different. They're not just trying to appeal to the largest number of people, they're trying to make something that they are happy with as a company. They want something that they are proud of, something that's quite unique, and they've gone a little bit crazy with the design, sure, but as a techie, I quite like that, and I think that's the sort of crowd that they're aiming for, you know? I like different. I do like things that are different. I was a Windows Phone guy. I moved on to Pixel and Sony Xperia, so I'm very much about the less popular stuff. It seems to appeal to me a lot more, and nothing is going to be added to that list very, very soon. Now the question is as to whether you should buy the Nothing Phone 1. It's worth noting that the Nothing Phone 1 is not going to be available in the US. At least not for the foreseeable future. Maybe not this particular phone. Maybe one in future. It depends on sales and things, and we'll have to see what they do. But for now, no US release. You'll have to keep in mind that the Nothing Phone 1 is a first generation device. There is going to be bugs with the OS. It's not going to be as well developed as a lot of phones. It's very basic. So you're going to have to decide whether you're somebody who wants something that's feature-packed, you want something that's going to be helpful and do a lot of things for you, such as like a Pixel, or whether you are interested in having something quite different, something that is probably going to garner a bit of attention because people will notice you using this phone. And if you want to be part of a little bit of a community and go along for the ride and be a part of that growth of a new company, then this is a great phone for you. I think it's going to be a perfectly usable phone, even to begin with, and it's got a lot of nice features, so I think a lot of people will be very happy with this. Even the camera system seems very nice, and yeah, plenty of support. I mean, you've got 3 years OS updates and 4 years of security updates, so yeah, it's going to be a very well supported phone. So the main competition really is the Pixel 6a. Here in the UK, that phone is releasing at £399, as is the Nothing Phone 1. There's big differences. So the Pixel 6a is smaller. It's got a much more mature feature set, as we've already mentioned. Of course, cameras. I mean, cameras Pixel, you know the cameras are going to be better, right? So that will probably be more practical for most people. And I have to say that if I'm recommending a phone to somebody, be it family or friends, probably 90% of the time I'm going to recommend the Pixel 6a. However, the Nothing phone does give you some features, very nice features, over the Pixel 6a. Some that we've already mentioned. So we've got the larger, high-quality screen, because you've got the 120Hz versus the 6a's 60Hz. We've got faster charging. We've got all the wireless charging features as well. And then you've got to think about the build. So the aluminium, the glass, when the Pixel's plastic. It's definitely more of a premium feeling phone. I mean, I don't have a problem with plastic phones anyway, because actually they're more durable. The Nothing phone feels more like a premium product. And I know a lot of people do like that sort of thing, even if they decide to put a case on afterwards. Anyway, so there's a lot to like. You'll have to decide for yourself whether the Nothing phone is worth getting over something like the Pixel 6a. But let me know down below if you'd like to see a Nothing phone versus Pixel 6a video, so I can go into things a little bit deeper. And what do you think to the Nothing phone? Is it something that you're likely to buy, or are you going to wait? See how it develops? Are you going to wait till the next iteration comes out? I will have mine shortly, and I intend to keep you all updated as to how it progresses over time. And I imagine it's going to make a lot of progress. Until the next video, folks, stay safe, stay grounded.